What happens to your data when a device goes missing, gets stolen, or just disappears off the network entirely? Today, Lenovo and Absolute Security have an answer. In this panel, we are joined by Ed Metcalf, VP of Portfolio Marketing at Absolute Security, and Dan Beckius from Lenovo to learn more about Lenovo ThinkShield TraceLock, a new innovation that gives IT and security teams the power to locate, control, and restore devices, even when they're completely offline. Let's get started.
So tell me a little bit about the relationship that you have with Lenovo.
Well, we are really excited to partner with Lenovo, obviously a massive vendor. And we partner with something unique in that helping organizations power up laptops that might be lost or stolen to help them get access to them. Or oftentimes you lose control of security controls if you don't have power, if they're not powered on, or they're not connected to the network. So we're utilizing some unique technology within the Lenovo system as well as Absolute in order to remotely wake up systems that might not be powered on so that you can recover.
So I have heard about that. I heard that's called TraceLock.
Yes, ThinkShield TraceLock. Yeah.
And so that we just did a release of that product just in the last couple of days. And so, I mean, fantastic. Good to hear that we're, developing new stuff together to move forward. And I think one of the things that kind of struck me, we do definitely have it available on various Lenovo devices at this point in time. And I know that we have that capability to, wake and wipe is, where we're going. So it's some of the cool features that you guys have as Absolute, but maybe you want to, kind of talk about some other things and the other options that you have around control and resilience that, people may be interested to hear about.
Yeah, well, Absolute Security is known for its firmware persistence. So we're shipped in OEM vendors like Lenovo throughout the world, and that provides the ability to have that unbreakable visibility of those endpoints, so that when a system goes lost or it goes down, the OS gets corrupted, we can take action and get connected to those devices and repair and recover from those devices if and when that's needed.
Yeah. And that's what I find saying all the time is absolutely we can do that. So you guys have a good name that goes along with that.
We do have a great name, and being in that firmware in that firmware gives us that hardware level persistent that really enables that unbreakable visibility.
Yeah, and the idea of keeping applications resilient, coming back in, so that basically if somebody tries to take those off the device, they automatically get put back on. When we start talking about control of the device and being able to identify, like I said, wherever it's at in the environment, I mean, those are great advantages that you guys bring to Lenovo devices. A lot of people find, super, super helpful, especially as the cost of devices increase. You want to make sure that you're going to be able to, kind of control, protect, and find those devices no matter where they be. You don't want to, have any loss in that hardware if possible. So yeah, it's been a great relationship with Absolute. I think it's going on, like 15 years or something like that now. Yeah.
We're excited to be part of the partnership with Lenovo for sure. And providing that cyber resilience is critical for organizations when when devices are powered on or powered off. And like you said, being able to connect to those remotely waking them up on a cellular connection is also really important. You might have a use case where an employee leaves an organization and leaves their laptop behind. And you'll need to be able to get access to that and recover from it and wipe it if you need to.
Right. Yeah. Just basic, the basic security and the needs that you have, when somebody, not that anybody would want to take a device home with them and, not bring it back or anything like that, but it does happen, and you want to make sure you're protecting those assets. And so TraceLock is a great way to do that. Whether that device has connection to the network or whether that device even has, full power to be able to start up, still able to kind of bring that back, find out where it is, protect whatever data, keep any data protected at the company so they're not losing that, and really, make it so the user, really wants to bring that device back instead of keeping it for themselves. So
And that's really important where you might have devices in the field that you don't have access to. via the network or
Right.
some other connection. So being able to locate them, wipe them, then we
Right.
have that firmware level persistence in the firmware that basically allows organizations to do that in an unbreakable way, so that if the OS gets compromised, then we still have that capability within the firmware in order to be able to regenerate and recover that endpoint or laptop.
Exactly. And you guys are basically kind of one of the only ones, one of the few people that are embedded in a lot of firmware. I know from the Lenovo side of the house, that is definitely the case.
Yeah.
The only ones that have that firmware level capability to rehydrate, as you said, in case there's a need to recover from an attack on a device. So I mean, that's something that comes into play. And when we start talking about just the uniqueness of Absolute and how you guys help Lenovo, that's one of the key things, that firmware persistence.
Yeah, being embedded in that firmware gives us a lot of unique capabilities that allow organizations to be more resilient and be able to withstand from an attack or even a misconfiguration for that
Right.
matter. It could be anything that causes the system to go down, but you still need access to that. And then also being able to monitor some other controls on those endpoints, whether the cybersecurity controls are in place, operational, and making sure that we have that visibility and all those controls are working up properly and in a state that can be protecting those endpoints.
So Ed, we've been talking about TraceLock a little bit. Can you give me an example of how TraceLock can be used in different enterprises or verticals that might be a good use case that we can talk to customers about?
Sure. Well, having that unbreakable visibility of the firmware, you might have an organization or an individual in an organization that leaves the organization and keeps their laptop, and that machine might be powered off sitting in someone's closet, but you'll need the ability using the technology within the Lenovo TraceLock solution plus Absolute will be able to remotely access that over a cellular connection. Wake it up, wipe it if you need to, locate it, or rehydrate, re-image that system. So those cases where you need better visibility to remote and traveling endpoints, having that firmware level persistent allows you to get that capability.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about customers that might be interested in that are going to be, enterprise customers that basically are worried about losing their proprietary data, right? Where somebody, may be leaving the country or leaving the company, and they want to make sure that they can protect that data, right? So within the enterprise, healthcare, I would assume, would be another one of those verticals where, since they have a high amount of HIPAA regulations that come into play, they're going to want to make sure that their data is protected, things like that. So I'm just as far as any other verticals that kind of come to mind for me.
Any regulated industry, insurance, financial, healthcare, where they have the regulations in order to make sure that they're resilient PCs and being able to have access to them and be able to control those endpoints a little bit better is all good use cases in vertical and organizations that need that hardware level persistence that we offer.
Yeah, and I think, I guess I was kind of a little bit focused on the wiping and data protection side of the thing. So if you happen to have an executive or somebody that has proprietary information traveling anywhere in the world, right, and they end up losing their device or happen to set it down, we want to make sure that we can recover it, right?
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of laptops that get left at TSA organizations, and you can quickly call your IT security and say, I've left my laptop, and they can quickly get access to it if it gets lost or stolen or compromised from anything. And it really comes down to organizations looking to reduce the amount of downtime that you may face with either a cyber incident or a misconfiguration, and being able to quickly access where that machine is, being able to rehydrate that or restore that back to a known good state is critical to reducing that downtime.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's probably interesting when we talk about TraceLock is that it's not only we've been kind of talking about it as a standalone product, but the thing to keep in mind is that it's going to be included with control and resilience. And so kind of the things that you talk about, there's certain capabilities we can do with TraceLock, but then you have the full portfolio of Absolute, depending on the level that you're interested in, that you have those capabilities. So as you said, rehydrate and that persistence comes along with TraceLock. So it's basically
Yeah.
you're getting the full suite of everything.
A full solution. Not only does it offer that uniqueness of the Wacom cellular connection, in those cases where that laptop is sitting in a desk, not connected, but also being able to do the locate.
Right.
Geolocation is also important. For example, you might not want devices going to another country, or you just want to fence those into a certain location. You can do that with the capability of the control or visibility from Absolute as well.
Yeah.
And then the other one is making sure that all those control programs on that endpoint are resilient and that are or in an operational resilience perspective. And so having that is an important way to keeping the resilience of that endpoint overall from a security perspective, by making sure the security agent or the firewall agent is completely operational and not compromised in any way. Because that's one of the first techniques the cyber criminals do, is to go after the security controls and ensure they're disabled so they can get past them. But if you have more of a resilient connection to all those applications on that endpoint, then you can be more secure.
Absolutely.
And more resilient.
So really what we're doing is we're taking the already fantastic suite of Absolute, adding a little more good stuff on top, so that you got a perfect security solution.
Perfect security solution for those devices that need to be accessed when there's no network connection at all.
Yeah. Well, Ed, I think we're getting close to wrapping up our conversation. I appreciate you giving us the time. You know, our series is named Work Reborn. So I guess one of the questions that I really need to ask you is, what do you think the future of work looks like as we move forward?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball, but I know work will be remote. Most people today do work remote, whether they come home from their office and work from their home, or whether they're traveling, or whether they're in a remote office. And when you think about working remotely, the IT controls that are needed to make sure that those devices are resilient become very critical. And when you look at the future of work, not only with remoteness, but also the use of AI and implementing AI in a safe way, that is also going to be important to make sure that you have a resilient organization that can help organizations adopt AI, but also make sure that those remote employees or any traveling employees is safe as they are working anywhere in the world.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you threw AI in there a couple of times, because, you know, we can't have an interview without, talking about AI anymore. Yeah, and it's definitely going to change things. I think it will be interesting to see how our work life, changes as we move forward with AI and all the other fun things that'll come along with that. And as you mentioned, Absolute and security are going to be some critical ones to make sure that we pay attention to as we move forward.
Yeah, we're excited to be partnering with Lenovo and providing that resilient capabilities that we offer from the firmware.
Yeah, and we're happy to have you as a partner. Thanks, Ed.
All right,
appreciate the time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us today to learn more about this amazing partnership between Lenovo and Absolute Security. If you're interested in learning more, make sure you check out the information in the description below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Lenovo.